The Premier League is getting another one of Guardiola's disciples in the form of Leicester City's former manager, Enzo Maresca. Chelsea have landed on the EFL Championship winning manager to replace Mauricio Pochettino. Since Pochettino's arrival at Stamford Bridge in July 2023, it never seemed likely that he would stick around for too long. Enzo Maresca is in for an extremely challenging project ahead with Chelsea. He's a relatively newer name in top-level management, and that's just because Maresca retired as a player just 7 years ago in 2017. His only stint in England as a player was at the very start of his career when he moved to West Brom at the age of 18 before joining Juventus. Barely 6 months after retiring, he became the assistant manager at Ascoli in June of 2017. He hopped from club to club and worked under different managers, including Manuel Pellegrini at West Ham in 2018 and 2019. The first big managerial calling came from Manchester City's U23 team in August 2020. The City U23 team was brimming with talent, and he managed 2.21 points per match across the 28 games he was in charge. He also clinched the Premier League 2 title. Serie B side Parma then came calling in May 2021. He was in charge for 14 games, out of which he could only manage 4 wins. Across these 14 matches, his team scored 18 goals and conceded 21. He was promptly sacked within 6 months. Looking back at that stint, he looked at the experience positively and self-admittedly learnt a lot. A lifeline came from Manchester City's first team, and Enzo Maresca jumped at the opportunity to become Pep Guardiola's assistant manager in July of 2022. This would prove to be a very valuable learning experience as he witnessed the ins and outs of a treble-winning super team. After a season under Guardiola's guidance, Maresca was ready to take over a relegated Leicester City side in the 2023-24 season. He was given the reins over a team that was favourites to be promoted that season, but a huge challenge came in the form of key players leaving the club for better opportunities elsewhere. He applied the Pep formula to get Leicester cruising in the Championship with inverted fullbacks and announced himself as an exciting attacking managerial prospect. In classic Chelsea fashion, the club has jumped on a hot prospect available on the market, but is Enzo Maresca the right fit for them heading into the 2024-25 season? Chelsea has a relatively younger squad, which is bursting with talent. They need a manager who can harness those young prospects while getting consistent results across competitions. But the Chelsea hot seat is even hotter now than it was back when Pochettino took over. The major reason being their spending spree across the past few transfer windows and their simultaneous lack of winning substantial prize money during this period. It puts them at odds with the increasingly strict profit sustainability rules. Their qualification to the Conference League next season further implies adhering to UEFA's profitability restrictions as well. Is this another raw choice for Chelsea that will prove to be unprepared for Todd Boehly's high standards? Or will Enzo Maresca take the Arteta route and astonish everyone? Let's try to understand how this Chelsea side will set up for the upcoming season, as well as what kind of football we can expect the London side to play. Pep, being one of Enzo Maresca's biggest influences on how he likes to play, the first and foremost thing to keep in mind is how much he values possession. Looking at this Leicester side, Maresca would form a 3-2-4-1 while building up, with the right back Ricardo Pereira inverting into midfield. This would shift to a 4-5-1 while defending and pressing out of possession. In the simplest of terms, Enzo Maresca likes to have more of his players in each area of the pitch wherever the ball travels into possession. This means that while building up from the back, he wants the goalkeeper to play an active role and add to the numerical advantage as a viable passing option when the opposition presses. Similar to Brighton under Roberto De Zerbi, Maresca's build-up from the back has an edge of baiting opposition into pressing the backline. This is often followed by a quick transition into attack to take numerical advantage of players behind the opposition's pressing line. Both wingers are instructed to hug the touchline high up the field to stretch the pitch, while the striker drops back at times to create an overload in midfield. Again, the basic thing to remember in each phase of possession play is to have a numerical overload in the area where the ball is. The striker dropping back while the wingers are up the pitch in wider areas creates a dilemma for opposition defenders as to whether they should track the striker or maintain their backline in case either of the wingers decide to make a run inside. As soon as Enzo Maresca's team loses possession, the first instinct ingrained into his players is to aggressively counter-press up the field. The idea is to catch the opposition team off guard before they can form a structure to move the ball forward. The result from this counter-pressing is either a turnover of possession in a dangerous area, or the opposition being forced back with a clearance their only option left. Such turnovers up the pitch resulted in a championship high of 12 goals from high turnovers for Leicester City in the 2023-24 season. But this high press and maximising of chances created comes at the cost of a penetrable defence against sides that thrive on quick transitions up the field to counter-attack. Ironically, Chelsea's biggest expected goals tally of 4.38 XG came against Enzo Maresca's Leicester City side in the FA Cup quarter-finals in March 2024. Now, the stark contrast in the quality of the players definitely played a role, but this is some cause for concern. Predicting Chelsea's lineup under Enzo Maresca isn't an easy task because there isn't a lot of history to go on. We can take the Leicester squad and make corresponding comparisons with Chelsea, but with a much bigger and better squad at his disposal, Enzo Maresca is bound to tweak his tactics to adapt to the Premier League. With that in mind, let's take a look at how Chelsea could possibly line up under him and what positions might need to be upgraded. The first requirement is a goalkeeper who can play out from the back with composure. Neither Sanchez nor Petrovic provide a solid ball-playing goalkeeper role. Robert Sanchez has played a similar role for Brighton in the past and could potentially get the nod ahead of Petrovic if no addition is made, but an upgrade in this position could do them a world of good. The fullbacks are a point of contention because it will be uncertain which side will invert. It was the right back for Leicester last season, and Chelsea's captain could fill that void very well. However, Cucurella has previously impressed as an inverted fullback and could be the one who slots into the double pivot from the left. The injury record of Reece James doesn't make him too reliable, but a young Malo Gusto could be moulded to perfect this role. A fit James always starts over him though. Chilwell does not fit the inverted role well at all. The centre-backs will include Levi Colwill on the left side, and Wesley Fofana could slot on the right if he remains fit. Other possibilities are Chalobah, Disasi, and Badiashile, along with the new signing Adarabioyo. The defensive midfielder role is best suited for Caicedo, and he'll receive a huge amount of short passes that will let him dictate the tempo of the game. Romeo Lavia can be his understudy and occasionally deputized with the double pivot duty. The two wingers will be Noni Madueke on the right and Mykhailo Mudryk on the left. Raheem Sterling will provide competition on both wings, while Nicholas Jackson can be an asset out wide too. The two advanced midfielders will be Cole Palmer and Enzo Fernandez. Both players thrive in central tight spaces. Even though Enzo Fernandez had an underwhelming stint in an advanced role under Poch, maybe a new system could unlock his potential up the field. Nkunku should be the first choice up front. Nicholas Jackson is a solid option too, but the amount of big chances he missed in the 2023-24 season were a hard watch at times. Reports suggest that Chelsea might be on the market for a clinical striker, with Osimhen amongst others being mentioned. But the transfer spending might be restricted in the upcoming windows. Conor Gallagher is being heavily linked with a move away from Stamford Bridge, which will leave a big hole in Chelsea's midfield. Considering that the previous campaign was Enzo Maresca's first full season in charge of a senior club, Chelsea's decision to hire him seems slightly rushed on the surface. Add to the fact that Leicester were substantially better than the other championship clubs by some distance, a bit of Enzo Maresca's influence in their success might be overstated. In terms of which players could shine under him, Cole Palmer and Romeo Lavia are the ones to watch out for. Palmer doesn't need any explanation, as he's bound to flourish under any setup, but a major reason is that Maresca has managed both of these players in the Manchester City youth squad. A 5-year contract implies that Enzo Maresca will be given ample time to lay down his imprint and build a sustainable project, but you can never really be too sure with Chelsea. Realistically, Chelsea fans should be excited about a high-pressing, possession-based and modern style of football. It is expected to be much more structured than Poch ball, but Enzo Maresca can take what Poch has built over the past year and get started in second gear, considering the similarities between both of their high-pressing styles of play. But the chaos under Poch is expected to be more structured under Maresca. So will Enzo Maresca last the season, or will he pull an Arteta and surprise everyone? Where do you think Chelsea will finish in the first season under him? Do you think silverware is a possibility? Let us know in the comments below.